Welcome to the Mukilteo Football Show. My name is Miles. The Washington Commanders defeat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a incredibly fun Sunday night game in which I lost my futures bet. Payout of $4,500 for the Bucs to win the Super Bowl is now over. My wife's bet, a payout of $6,000 for the Commanders to win the Super Bowl. So we all unite as a family behind her with good grace, civility, and hooting and hollering. Jaden Daniels, a spectacular game for a rookie. And I feel like everybody's pumped about this game more because it was so good by comparison with the rest of the weekend, which is fine. You know, this is why divisional weekend is so good. We don't need every single wild card game to be an upset and end up with a Broncos Chiefs dud, you know, or you know, a bunch of Cinderellas in the divisional round. Part of the divisional weekend is just the good teams rolling. Remember, the 2 seeds didn't even used to be in the wild card. Only 6 years ago, they got an automatic bye. They're here now. They played today, both of them, Buffalo and Philadelphia. They both won handedly. You know, the 2 seeds are now 9-1 in the 5 years that we have had those 2 seeds participating in the wild card round. And you know what? They should win about 90% of the games, right? 90% of the time, the 2 seed's going to beat the 7 seed. Only once, you know, in about 10 games is a fraud going to be exposed, such as the Cowboys. And Washington wasn't that. The 4, and 5 seed, 3 and 6 seeds, those are entertainment. Those are our entertainment. And Washington needed this. 8 days from inaugurating the 47th president, which is going to suck for them as a city. They know everybody's fault but mine. Trump administration comes in. Washington needed this, man. They needed a football victory. And this was their first playoff win in 19 seasons. 19 years, 2 decades. Back to the Bush administration. My wife is very happy about this. And the way it happened, a Zane Gonzalez doink in for the division. Washington fans just absolutely exalted. It was like a christening. Like my dad said, the football gods are finally back on Washington's side. This was like the coronation that is true, that their beliefs they held, that the curse, the bad Dan Snyder with his corruption and sexual harassment and toxic workplace, he was truly gone. For Washington fans, all of that came to fruition today. For Tampa Bay fans, they're crying. They're just sucks. What a tragic end to Baker Mayfield's career year. 41 touchdowns. He has that fumble at the end that we'll talk about. In the third group, Chicago Bears fans screaming into their pillows, remembering 6 years ago in this same time slot, 2018 wildcard weekend, the Sunday night game, when their kicker tried to kick in to win a playoff game, and it doinked off the upright, off the crossbar, and out. Bears fans just thinking, why? Why couldn't it happen to us? Sorry, Bears fans, catching a stray. But good game, good game. The game was well played. There was a real, I noticed at the beginning of the game, a real veteran tone. Bobby Wagner made 2 big hits, looked like a young Bobby Wagner right at the beginning. He's clearly setting the tone. Terry McLaurin for the Commanders had 2 big catches right on their first drive. Mike Evans had a couple big catches. Levante David for the Bucs. The veterans were coming through in those first couple drives. and there were just tons of huge hits. Baker and Daniels both taking hits. It was 10-10 at halftime. Jaden Daniels led a 92-yard, 10-minute drive for a touchdown in the second quarter, and Baker Mayfield did the exact opposite. He raced a 1 minute and 30-second drive back down the field right before the half for a touchdown, in which Mike Evans probably won the last round between him and Marshawn Lattimore. Lattimore definitely won the early rounds. This is a feud that got a lot of play, and Kirk and I forgot to talk about it in the preview, but Mike Evans, wide receiver, Lattimore, former Saints corner, this year only as a Commanders corner. They hate each other. Like, truly. Like, you usually see the players like dapping up after. There's kind of a fraternity thing. They hate each other. They've gotten in 3 separate fights that resulted in injections. They were chirping at each other today. Evans clearly won the last round. So, good game. That's what everyone was talking about online. Wild fourth quarter. There was 13 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and we had we had a whole game fit into like 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. The Commanders drove down the field with some big plays. Pass interference in the end zone. They're at the 1 yard line. Buccaneers make a legendary goal line stand. A goal line stand that probably would have gone down as a turning point of the game if there wasn't like 3 more turning point in the games to come after it. They got a turnover on downs from the 1. The Bucs were just, Kalijah Cansey, Vita Vea, that interior line was just booming through the Commanders' offensive line. They absolutely stuffed them. And then Baker throws to Mike Evans on third down. It is that backwards reach to get the first down. You're thinking, okay, things are going the Bucs' way. It's the next play where the fumble happens. Baker Mayfield turns, trying to hand it to Jalen McMillan. Fumble, lost. Now the goal line stand is basically irrelevant. It's a crushing. You could see it on Baker Mayfield's face. It's just a crushing blow for the Tampa Bay fans, for Baker Mayfield. The Commanders still had to go for it on 4th and 2. So they, even after that fumble, first down, second down, third down, it was 4th and 2. They were about to be turned away again. But that time, Daniels to McLaurin, touchdown. They go up 3. Just these fourth downs were crazy. Talk about turning points. Just a back and forth wild slide. Buccaneers got a field goal after that. There's almost too much to list. Ended up a 20-20 tie with 4.5 minutes left. And the Commanders just draining the clock to get that field goal was probably Jaden Daniels' biggest moment. He had the 3rd and 6. He threw to Brown. Dynamic Brown had a great game. And then, of course, the famous 3rd and 1. Right at I think they're at like the 22-yard line. There's about 1:30 left. It's 3rd and 1. Oh, it was the 20-yard line. And if he gets the first down, they can just kneel out the clock, kick the field goal zeros. You don't want to not get it and kick the field goal and have Baker Mayfield have 1 more minute. Kalijah Cansey comes right up the middle. Vita Vea out there. And Jaden Daniels stiff arms him. A stiff arm of angle, not power, to be clear. And it's over. Kneel it down. The kicker calmly gets one through. Actually, no. I was joking about the doink, but I'm also remembering right before we saw him go out there, he was like fixing his hair with his helmet for like 4 minutes. Like he was like a manic thing. And then after the kick, they showed us that he had taken off his shoes and his socks multiple times. Someone had this doinked out. Someone would need to be with Cade York right now to make sure that he's not jumping off the Washington Monument or something. Dark way to end it. But Kathleen gets her victory. Her $50 future bet for the Commanders is still on. But they head to the Lions' den. Mukilteo Football Show. The show is football everything. NFL history, legacy, ups and downs of a season. Follow us on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's go back to the beginning of the day. Denver at Buffalo. Green Bay at Philadelphia. The 2 seeds versus the 7 seeds. The 10 a.m. Start, that's our usual start. We didn't have red zone, but we're up on Sunday at 10 a.m. Bo Nix deep to Troy Franklin on the first drive, a 43-yard moon ball right down in the bucket to take a 7-0 lead on the Bills. Was like, wake up, everybody. Get out of bed. It's Sunday. It's Wildcard Day. That was their only points of the game. They did not get any further points, and it took a while for the Bills to kind of break away on the scoreboard, but you could feel just the big brother dominance that they had over the Broncos. They were running the ball absolutely down the throats of the Broncos. I saw a stat that CBS put up that they had 100 rushing yards on their first 2 drives. That's more yards than any first 2 drives in playoff history. That's incredible. More rushing yards. And the Broncos put up a fight. Like, we talk about these blowouts, but I don't think either of these games, Denver or Buffalo, Green Bay or Philadelphia, that the deserves to be called a blowout. I mean, Denver was inches away from a 10-10 halftime, same as this Tampa Bay-Washington game that everybody's calling a classic. They were inches away. Broncos kicker doinked it off. Not sure why kickers hit the upright so often. Maybe they're aiming for it, or maybe they're not aiming for it. I don't know. That's a podcast of a different day. But eventually the tide overcame. Like Josh Allen, there's a 4th and 1. He throws that deep pass to Ty Johnson. It's 4th and 1, Josh Allen, but this one works out. To his credit, he clearly did have a wheel route he was supposed to hit. That was covered. Then he tried to scramble. He really got boxed in there. So he just took the deep back line, 20-yard bomb to Ty Johnson, a running back. I don't know if he actually scored that touchdown. I think his heel hits before he has the ball and he's out of bounds. But there wasn't enough to overturn it. They called it a touchdown on the field. And eventually, the Bills scored a couple more touchdowns anyway. So nobody, we're not really talking about a true sliding doors moment. So, but Bo Nix showed out, I thought. I've been a critic of Bo Nix for some time. Since he's been in the league. Because he played 6 years of college football. But he looked good to me. I know he only threw that 1 touchdown, but he looked good. He had some fight. The Broncos were just overwhelmed. There were a couple crucial 3rd downs that Nix made perfect throws, and had they converted those 3rd downs, they would have, for sure, at least gotten a couple other points and made it more interesting. But yeah, it sets up Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson. It's incredible. I mean, that's a matchup for the ages. And we get one of these in the AFC every year. It's between Burrow, Mahomes, Lamar, and Allen, and we probably will this whole decade. We're going to get one of these every single year in the divisional round. And God willing, every year in the AFC Championship as well. We don't want the Broncos in the AFC Championship, people. You should have been rooting for the Bills. What Bills? The Buffalo Bills. I'm rooting for the Bills, so that's why I have that. But going to be a lot of MVP talk coming up in ahead of this matchup between Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. But, that's how it goes down. All right, the other matchup of this fine Super Wild Card Sunday. is the Green Bay Packers at the Philadelphia Eagles. And this game could not have started with a harsher punch in the mouth than it did from the Eagles to the Packers. Literally knocked the Packers kick returner back and into a fumble, just head-to-head, just collision. The guy just recoiled backwards, letting go of the ball. The Eagles recover it. I think the Packers actually probably recovered that, but it was unclear. Again, you couldn't quite overturn it. So they kick it off to the Packers, who fumble, give it to the Eagles. The Eagles get a first down run by Saquon Barkley for 16 yards. And then they run it one more time, and then the fourth play if you count the kickoff fumble, Jalen Hurts stands back there for 7 seconds on a passing play and hits Johan Dotson for an 11-yard touchdown. I mean, it could not have looked bleaker for Green Bay. The fact that this game was within 6 in the fourth quarter, I think it was 16-10, is a testament to the Packers, who were losing players all over the place. Eagles had a lot of injuries. This game had a lot of injuries. This game was the injury game. Commanders Bucs was the penalty game. Got one of those every weekend. But to go from a kickoff fumble, big run by Saquon, and then a touchdown in which the pass rush was non-existent for the Packers, you thought, okay, we're losing this game 40-0. The Eagles couldn't pull away. Unlike the Bills, they let the Packers really have a chance here. I think the Packers could have won this game. They lost their best offensive lineman. They lost their 2 starting receivers, which really was relevant because Jordan Love made some throws, that one to the pylon that could have been a touchdown late in the fourth quarter. And then the fourth down play where they were driving also late, mid fourth quarter. And the receiver, I mean, he's just a practice squad guy out there. He just doesn't have the toe tap, that Dobbs got hurt. Reed got hurt. Watson was already hurt. But the Eagles, I mean, their defense obviously is the highlight. They deserve credit. I shouldn't just say that the Packers would have won if their receivers stayed healthy. They would have had a chance, though, is what I'm saying. They would have had a chance. And the Eagles fans were booing the offense. I mean, after the Eagles punted to start the third quarter, the boo birds came out. They were booing. Because it was 3 and outs pretty much most of the first half after that big start. Jalen Hurts just jogging to the sideline, no emotion, just, him and Herbert, man. Where are these guys' heads? I don't know. The Packers they got that first and goal, and that pylon play happens, and then they get a field goal, right? And that seemed to wake the Eagles up like, oh, man. Now the Packers are within, range already. We need to score some points. And that's when the Eagles started finally moving the ball. Goddard got that touchdown, that awesome stiff arm sideline touchdown. The whole game woke up, really. The Goddard touchdown was awesome. Then Packers get their touchdown right in response. Josh Jacobs fighting through, and the whole defense tried to tackle him. His shirt was just being stretched like 10 yards, and he got it to the 1, and then he punched it in for a touchdown. It was 16-10 right there. But the Eagles, I criticize the offense a lot, and because I think the defense is the key to the team. But what they can do is get to a fourth quarter and give it their offensive line. I mean, if the Eagles and Lions meet in the NFC Championship, I'm just going to say, who has the ball with 15 minutes in the fourth quarter? Because they're going to lead a 10-minute drive to drain the rest of the game. Because that's what they both do, because of their elite offensive lines. And that's what the Eagles did to the Packers here today. Up 6. It was 10 minutes. How long was this drive here? Let's see. 13 plays, 7 minutes, 23 seconds. So they took half the fourth quarter to make it a 2-possession game. That taking half the fourth quarter is almost as valuable as the 3 points, making it 19-10. Then the Packers, of course, turned it over a couple more times and more injuries, and it just all unraveled from there. But I didn't hate either of these games. Like, they were both entertaining to watch. They weren't like fingernails on the seats, but it's 12 hours of football. They don't have any fingernails on the seats. You know what? Actually, we wouldn't appreciate the crazy endings if every game had a crazy ending. All we can ask is for competitive football in which both teams show up to play. And there was not a team that played today that didn't show up. You could make jokes about Green Bay. You could make jokes about Denver's offense especially. But I thought, on the field at least, there were little moments that could have made these games a lot closer, at least on the scoreboard. So, Packers, sad end for them. Remember before Christmas when they blew out the 49ers on primetime? They blew out my Seahawks on primetime. They blew out the Saints right before Christmas. Shut them out. They looked like Super Bowl contenders at that point, but just injuries and just kind of a little bit of regression and probably injury as well to Jordan Love. This wasn't to be. They were the attrition team this year. And Jordan Love will get flack for the stat line, but it was all pressing due to just a lot of attrition. And that will be the story for a number of teams every year. So Eagles will go on to face the winner tomorrow. Saquon Barkley chomping at the bit. By the way, just to close it out, Saquon Barkley, who forwent a chance at Eric Dickerson's record. He sat in week 18. Could have gone for like the 101 yards to get the record for the rushing yards or whatever. And then today, he slid down on what could have been a 76-yard touchdown at the end of the game. Instead, he got 17 yards and slid, because once he got the first down, the Eagles were able to kneel for the win. This selflessness better lead somewhere. Eagles, you got to go deep into the playoffs, at least get to the Super Bowl, because Barkley has already sacrificed a number of statistical accolades for this. It was 25 carries for 119 yards, so shouldn't be complaining too much. But then again, 17 yards was his long. Could have been 76. Could have been 76. Actually, he did. The safety may have had an angle on him. I don't know. But all right, we'll be back tomorrow. Talk Vikings, Rams. Good Wildcard Sunday. My name is Miles. Good night.